when she was still in Russia. They ended up getting a group project about learning the ins and outs of the local businesses. She eagerly divided group works amongst her friends and rigorously planned everything out as she wanted their report to be the best in the class. She followed the schedule perfectly and collected data on several businesses all alone on Sunday. But when she went back to school on Monday, she found out that none of her friends have even started thinking about it. She gets worked up and tells them that the report will take a lot of time to write. But her friends seem unconcerned, claiming that they have a full week to work on it. Suddenly, the blondie notices her work notebook and picks it up, claiming that Alia has literally written a whole essay already. They tell her to chill out as this is just a school assignment, but Alia is one of those perfectionists who got no chill, so she tells them to take this seriously. This results in her getting into a major argument with the blondie who tells her to do it all alone if she wants to be such a perfectionist and leaves. Later that evening, Alia stays over late and keeps writing the report and continues to do so every single day till finally the results of the reports is unveiled. A different group ends up winning because their report was more cohesive, while Alia holds back her tears clutching her group work that she did all alone. That day, while walking back home with tears glistening on her cheeks, she decides that from now on she will never depend on anybody because they will always disappoint her no matter what. After that, she ended up qualifying a very difficult examination and got transferred to Japan, where the first day, she ended giving a speech at the ceremony, which immediately made her a favorite. After the assembly, when the class was about to start, she noticed Q's for the first time, sleeping on his desk with no care in the world. She wakes her up, claiming that the class is about to start, and he groggily tells her that her speech was phenomenal. She introduces herself very cordially as she expected everyone at this super prestigious school to be perfectionists like her. Slowly, the facade wears down as she notices that most students here are slackers as well, and most of all Q's was the biggest slacker, never bringing the correct books, always behind in physical education, and literally sleeping through the entire math class. Soon she starts going back in her shell, and not talking to others because they were disappointing her once again. Soon the seasons change and the school festival arrives. They all divide duties and start working on it. But even after being behind in all aspects, the students are very chill about it and go back home while Alia works overtime sewing the banner as she felt all alone once again. She hurts herself once again and puts on a band-aid when suddenly the door flings open and Q's enters the room. Alia is surprised to see him after the school is over, but he claims that she shouldn't overwork and go back home. Alia at this point is pretty prickly and tells him to mind his own business as she has a lot of work to do. But he tells her not to worry as he has sorted everything out. He used some connections to get permissions to stay overnight in the school. He also made some friends in the handicraft club and convinced them to help with the festival work as well, so now there are a lot of people who can help. He tells her to relax and go back home, but her feelings finally end up coming out as she tears up and claims that she can't relax because she wants to put a really good festival which people will genuinely enjoy. And she won't be satisfied with any shabby, and she will not compromise on the quality of work no matter what. He tells her that she is putting all her efforts in the wrong places. He claims that she is putting all her efforts into doing everything alone, but if she was smarter, she would have focused all her attention on convincing everyone else to work together, which would have lowered the load on her as well as involve all the students. She stands up and leaves the room while wondering what the hell is that guy's problem. The next day, however, is a total shift from what she was dealing with as Q's somehow motivated everyone to do their best for the festival, and they started coming up with hundreds of ideas for attractions. They started staying late in the school having fun and working together, and slowly Alia started opening up to her classmates again. The day of festival finally comes, and it turns out to be a total hit as their attraction ends up winning the best attraction in the school award by a large margin. The festival finally ends with a student dance, where Alia finds Q's sitting all alone. He asks why she is not dancing as everyone and their mothers would want to dance with her, but she claims that she doesn't want to dance right now because every boy keeps bothering her about it. Q's laughs and tells her that because of her attitude, everyone has started calling her the Ice Princess, but Alia doesn't seem thrilled about it. She claims that she doesn't like the fact that they call her a princess because it makes her feel like she was born with everything even though she has worked very hard for everything she has achieved till now. Q's smiled and tells her that he won't call her that name then. Alia then turns to him and apologizes for lashing at him the other day and asks whether she could do anything for him to show her gratitude. Hughes tells her that she doesn't need to do all that as she was still the person who put the most effort, but Alia claims that she needs to repay him for his kindness. Suddenly, a bunch of boys appear behind her, and the incels start bothering her again for a dance, pressuring her even though she didn't want to. Hughes decides to take matters into his own hands and takes her arm before running into the grounds, asking Alia for a dance as her thanks. Finally, we return back to the present where Masha claims that it sounds like the start to a beautiful love story. But Alia again claims that he is just a friend because he is capable and can get things done. But Masha is not fooled as she smiles at her. The next morning, Hughes goes to the students' council to cover for Yuki as she didn't come that day. There he ends up meeting with Masha, who tells Hughes that she has heard a lot about him and wanted some help with shopping for supplies. He agrees, and she immediately thanks him and grabs his hands. Suddenly, she feels a familiar feeling as if she has met him before and asks him for his food name. Hughes tells him her full name, and immediately she realizes something, but keeps her mouth shut and tells him in Russian that they should get moving. They start walking and enter a shopping mall where Masha completely forgets why she was here and starts looking at different stuffed toys to buy for the student council. She buys a cat plushie and also starts looking a lion wearing some glasses for the council president. But Hughes tells her that he won't be a big fan. They start walking back when she enters a tea shop to try some of their tea. And while she was tasting the different types of brewing methods, Hughes suddenly remembers how his parents separated when he was young, and he decided to stay with his dad. But Yuki ended up choosing their mom, forcing the siblings to be separated from each other. Suddenly, he snaps back to reality only to find Masha in front of him looking worried. She tells him that he looks pained and immediately hugs him while stroking his hair. This completely shocks him as he feels a wave of nostalgia come over him as he wonders why this feels so familiar and relaxing. His session quickly gets over though because he gets burned by the hot teacup while still wondering why Masha's touch reminds him of his childhood. Later that day, they walk back over to the student council room where the president immediately notices the huge toy in Masha's arms. He tells her that student council shouldn't be a place to put soft toys, but Masha doesn't seem to care about it and keeps telling him that she wanted to get him a lion. The president walks up to the shopping bags, scared what else did Masha buy, but thankfully the remaining things were ordinary school supplies, which brings him some relief. He thanks Hughes for helping them buy the supplies as he doesn't trust Masha to shop alone. And Hughes can totally understand it as he knows Masha would have made the council room a total theme park if left alone. The president again tells Hughes that he should reconsider his decision to join the student council as they need capable people like him. And Masha seems to be in agreement, as she claims that he should at least join them on paper. Hughes asks why are they so hell-bent on making him join the council, and the president replies that he thinks Hughes has a special talent with sorting things out, which is very important for a student council. He claims that Hughes was an excellent vice president during his junior school, and Hughes replies that while working on that position, he realized that there were no real ambitions or goals of his that he would be able to achieve if he continued being at that position, so it doesn't make sense for him. The president tells him that goals don't need to be 100% aligned with the goal of working at full efficiency. He claims that he joined the student council not because he wanted to transform the school for the better, but because he wanted to win the heart of the girl he liked. He whips out his phone and shows Hughes the picture of a fat incel, looking very insecure. At first, Hughes doesn't identify the fatty, but Ken claims that it is none other than him 2 years ago. Hughes is shocked at the incredible glow-up transformation, while Ken tells him that 2 years ago, he was a loser with bad grades and no talent in any sports. But then he fell in love with a beautiful girl named Sarah, the vice president, but she was way too out of his league, so he decided to better himself in order to become a viable match as a boyfriend for a girl like Sarah. Becoming the council president was just a step in achieving that dream, so his reasoning to join the council was very selfish. Masha joins in the conversation and tells Hughes that even she joined just because she was friends with Sasha and wanted to talk to her more, claiming that everyone who joins the council has their own selfish reasons, and that's completely fine. This seems to change Hughes' mind a little while Ken tells him that it's perfectly fine for him to join the council, even if his sole goal is to help someone become the president. Hughes looks at a smiling Ken and asks him for some time to think upon it. He then realizes that Alia hasn't arrived yet, but Ken tells him that she probably will get late today as she has gone out to mediate a fight between the soccer and the baseball team, as both want to use the field. Q's immediately leaves the council room as he wonders whether he should check upon Alia to make sure she is doing fine. Meanwhile, Alia is not doing very fine as both the soccer and the baseball teams are at each other's throats as they hurl insult at each other like a Call of Duty lobby, when Alia tells them to talk politely. Alia tries to ask one of them to use a smaller field by the river, but none of the teams are willing to go there as they both start arguing again, while ignoring poor Alia's voice. She realizes that she always decided to work alone, and because of that she has no idea how to deal with people and make them listen to her. Tears start rolling down her cheeks as she wonders whether she is fit to be in the student council. Meanwhile, Q's reaches the area and overhears the heated discussion while Alia failed to mediate them. Q's decides that it is good experience for her and was about to leave, when he hears her call out for help in Russian, which only he understood. He decides to intervene in the middle and introduces himself to them as the student council member in charge of the general affairs. Alia seems surprised, but relieved to see him as he quickly takes control of the situation and claims that because the baseball team has fewer members, they will move to the smaller Riverside field. But in return, the soccer team members will help the baseball team move all their equipment. At first, both the teams seemed uncertain about this compromise, but the managers of the soccer team speak up, volunteering to help the baseball team move, and seeing a couple of beauties willing to help them out soon softened the baseball team as well, and they agreed to the compromise. Later that evening, both Q's and Alia start walking back, while Q's apologizes for putting his nose in between her matters. She claims that she likes his nose between her juicy matters and asks whether he knew the managers would decide to help the baseball team. Q's smiles and claims that the captain of the baseball team is currently dating the manager of the football team, and that's why he wasn't saying too much, as he wanted to help his girlfriend. Meanwhile, the manager was confused what to do, since she knew soccer team's demands were too much. He claims that he simply gave them a middle way out, which he knew both the baseball captain and the manager would agree to, and the plan worked. Alia looks at him impressed that he thought and noticed these many things when they run into Ken, who asks whether everything got sorted out. Q's immediately realizes that Ken planned all of this to begin with as he asks Q's for his decision about the council. Q's takes a deep breath and tells him that he is ready to join the student council, which shocks Alia, while Ken tells him to come to the council immediately to get his joining form. Later that night, when they start walking back, Alia asks Q's whether he is joining the council to help Yuki become the new president, and Q's asks what will she do if he does decide to help her. Yuki takes a deep breath and tells him that she won't back down and fight against him to become the new president, which makes Q's smile, and he tells her that he has decided to help her become the new president and not Yuki. This catches Alia off guard, while Q's promises that he will help her become the president of the council, no matter what, and offers her his hand. Alia wipes off her tears and takes his hand before smiling at him, which suddenly makes his heart feel something which he hasn't felt since the time he met that blonde girl in his childhood. Suddenly, Alia twists his hand, asking whether he was thinking about some other girl right now, making Q's sweat, who wonders what to say in this situation. She asks him whether he was thinking about Yuki, and he immediately denies, but she thinks he is lying and delivers a tight slap, knocking him to the floor. She then walks up to him and helps him up back to his feet before they start walking back together. On the way, they talk about everyday life, making jokes and having fun, when they finally reach Alia's apartments, and the time to say goodbye comes. Alia asks whether his cheek is still aching, but he claims that it's just stinging a little, but he should be fine, as he has experience with getting pepper sprayed by girls. Alia decides to relieve some of the pain as she walks up to him and plants a light kiss on his cheeks, making him blush as she walks away, claiming that it was just a friendly kiss. Q's can't believe what just happened, as he stands there blankly, wondering why this Russian girl is playing with his heart like this. He starts returning back home, and dies from cringe when he thinks about the corny things that he just said to Alia. He wonders what made him say things like that, but at the same time Alia was also going along with it, without trying to resist. He wonders whether she actually loves him, and all the flirting in Russian was real. But he smacks himself on the head, reminding himself that Alia is way beyond his league, and he shouldn't get his hopes up. He returns back home and realizes that if this entire day was a setup to make him join the student council, then Yuki must be in on it, so he enters the dark house to confront her. He finds her in the bathroom while she starts celebrating because the trope of walking in on your sister never happened in their life. Q screams at her that it didn't happen because it's not necessary, but Yuki straight up says that anime fans love fanservice. They walk into Q's room where she starts drying her hair out and asks whether the president or Masha managed to make him join the council, and he hesitantly replies that he did join the council, but there is a catch. Yuki looks at him eagerly while he tells her that instead of helping her win the seat for the president, he has decided to help Alia instead. There was a brief silence where Yuki looked very sad, but she was faking it as that was her entire plan. She starts acting all bratty though, and tells Q's that this is technically cheating, and Q's needs to spoil her now that he is not even going to support her through the elections. He takes the brush from her hand and starts brushing it, while telling her that he is really happy to be with her after being separated for so long because of their parents. Yuki smiles and tells him that she doesn't care whether he is her brother or not, but she will fight with all her strength to win the chair of the president. She leaves the room happy that her brother found someone who could motivate him to work harder and wonders how long he will be able to keep it up. The next morning, he wakes up on his own, surprised to find that Yuki didn't make a whole scene to try and wake him up. He wonders whether she got hurt by what he said yesterday and decides to make it up to her with some good breakfast. But the moment his feet touch the ground, he is jump scared by her own sister, who starts laughing like a maniac and tells him that he needs to watch him back because now they are rivals. Q's realizes that his bratty sis will make life hell for him, but to his delight, Yuki ends up getting stuck like my stepsister. She tells Q's that she wants his help to unstuck her, but he decides to take revenge and starts pushing his bed sheet down her face to pack her in with the terrible sweaty smell. Later that morning, Alia sits down on her desk as she keeps anxiously looking at Q's empty desk, wondering how he will act today. She seems a little embarrassed by her actions yesterday and gets jump scared when Q's walks in the room. She tries to act all normal, but when she looks at him that day, she realizes that he looks much better than usual. All during the class, she keeps looking at him, wondering why is he glowing so much, even though he looked completely normal. She also realizes that he didn't sleep in the class today and wonders whether he is doing this for her. Later during a volleyball game, she seems completely distracted when the balls fly over to her, but she quickly snaps into action and hits the ball hard into the opponent's court, scoring a point. She immediately looks over to the guys' team where Q's gets hit from behind with the ball and gets knocked out cold. A little while later, he steps out of the gym to get some fresh air as he rubs his head, when Alia walks after him and asks whether he is feeling fine. She checks his head for a fever before fixing her hair, and all this while Q's is shocked to see that she looks even more pretty than usual. He immediately looks away and goes over to drink some water, but this thirsty-ass man still keeps looking at Alia drinking water. He immediately puts his head in the water, feeling really happy about himself when Masha walks up to them and asks whether Q's is okay as she heard he got hit. Q's is immensely pleased with himself for bagging the most beautiful girl in the school and starts looking at the clouds when Masha tells him to bend down and starts drying his hair out. After going through literal heaven, he thanks her and claims that he now knows how a dog feels. Soon Alia tells Masha that she should go back to her class, as Q's and her are going to go as well. She starts dragging Q's away to a secluded spot where Q's wonders whether he is going to get scolded for touching another girl, but instead she starts asking whether he can still feel pain in his head and suggests him to put an ice pack on it to prevent swelling. He is surprised that she is being so nice today and wonders whether they have already entered the honeymoon phase and will be acting all lovey-dovey. He tries to touch his head, but he backs off, claiming that she isn't being herself today. Alia starts blushing and claims that Q's was looking different today, and she was worried if anything was wrong. Q's tells her that apart from not having breakfast, everything was the same today. Hearing this, Alia realizes that this massive jerk didn't try to better himself for her, but was simply too hungry to sleep in the class. She calls him out for it, but he claims that he simply didn't sleep in the class as he slept very nicely last night. This humiliates her even more as she realizes that all night long she was unable to sleep. This idiot was having the best sleep of his night. She immediately walks away in anger, muttering to herself that she can never actually fall in love with a stupid person like Q's, while he felt much better now that Alia was back to her original self.